Hello, and welcome along to episode 27 of Soulforged.
That
Today I have playing with me Michaela.
Hi, I'm Michaela. I'm playing Winona.
I have Laura.
Hi, I'm Laura. I'm playing Karina.
I have Jay.
Hello, I'm Jay. I'm playing Kai.
And I have Jamal.
Hey guys, it's Jamal here, and I'll be playing Galthak Stonebreaker.
Josh is gallivanting off in Germany with gnomes. Yes, 3G words, none of which start with the same letter. Proud of self.
Wow.
And he's,
Very good.
Yes, he's displaced his heart. He'll find it. Don't worry about it.
The heart with the silent G.
Yes, the God. Honestly, Josh just needs a bit of a break. He's a bit run down. He's doing a lot of stuff, so he's going to take a nap and he'll be with us next week. In the meantime, I will be somewhat controlling Luca-ish, kind of. So you can expect him to behave a little less erratically than usual.
Oh, good.
A little.
I will, however, make sure...
A little?
Yeah, a little. I will, however, make sure to give many details about food wherever relevant.
Oh, good. Thank the Lord.
Why say okay if you're not going to do anything?
I'll give you all the details about the food.
Start listing off the nutritional information from a cereal box.
Thanks. Right, we got there in the end. Blind myself. Are you not working today? Okay. The blinding that's having a day off. Anyway. To catch us up with where we are before we do anything further, we will... Oh, that happened. Oh, what I pressed to do that. Half my face disappeared. I didn't even know what I pressed on my keyboard to make that happen. Anyway, so to bring us up to speed with where we are so far, you guys have been off on the boat, as per usual. It is currently June. No, May. It is currently May, roughly, or the equivalent of. Where did we end last session? Anyone know? It's very hard to go backwards.
I believe we ended in Valaris because we teleported there.
Yeah, we were
yes,
in the...
so
We'd had the conversation in the
Okay,
castle.
right. Yeah, so at the end of last session, obviously, Kepit was discovered by Chivalry, who ran into him playing on the street. Chivalry abdicated the throne and has been pastured out to Withywood's, kind of. He had to go and finish his diplomacy on the western border with Australia, and then pastured out to Withywood's, which is in the duchy that Valaris is in, but is a little way away. I don't think Withywood's is on our map, because it's just an estate. It's not like a place, but it's basically just south of Brook. It's on the river, but it's in the Berwick district. Anyway. So that's what happened. Kepit is to be trained appropriately, not as an assassin as much as sort of to have a quick mind, to take in lots of details, to give a proper report. It's sort of, they're going to appear as playful games for someone his age, but you all know that he's being trained in the long run for something more. Babysitting again? Does that cat even belong to anyone other than you right now?
She's going home this weekend.
Okay.
Thank God.
Just every time. So that's where we left off. And we're going to do a little bit of a time skip here, so please bear with. Over the next few months, as you spent time out on the seas, patrolling, Chivalry faded out the public eye. He completed his diplomacy on the western coast, and once more sued for peace with Australia. On your travels, you managed to seize another red ship, which was renamed as the Reaper, with the intention in the winter to send it to raid the coastline of the Raider Isles. Despite this small victory, many towns and villages have been raided in that time, nowhere near your boat ever, which is very frustrating. And for the smaller villages, it's simply become a matter of when, not if, they would suffer the red ships at their shores. Countless citizens carried quick exits in the form of poison pellets, and for the most part, very few people were forged during this time. Those, however, that were, made their way unerringly towards Valaris. If you recall last session, we made the decision to let one of the Forged just carry on with whatever it was they were doing, and they made an attempt on Verity's life. At which point they were removed. Due to this, Riddle has arranged to quietly have the Forge stop before they reach the city, or in fact, before even they get close to civilization. And the panniers of poison bread have been reintroduced. The inland duchies have begun to get a little frustrated at the high taxes and commandeering of their guards, and have decided to not quite revolt, but just, there's lots of angst against the crown. It's very much a sort of split population. Just to be clear, Tradeford, Lockton, and Tradeford, rubbish. Dunholm, Sandford, and Clyde. I was giving you the capitals. Dunholm, Sandford, and Clyde are the inland duchies. They do have a coast, but they, with the exception of Seacroft, almost all of those coastal areas have been have moved inland, leaving many towns and villages pretty much derelict on the coast. With a sort of view as to the raiders are welcome to whatever they want, as long as they don't come ashore and walk inland. There has been rumours of an inland lord, or the ladies' duchies, and many other such monikers, implying that they perhaps are not following the king directly. Despite Verity looking worse and worse, it has been solely his visions that have successfully prevented raids, however. And obviously the fact that he barely turns up to any sort of inter-duchy meetings and such, and chivalry has abdicated and the king is not right in mind, means that, and the Princess Grace doesn't really exist, so it means that there's no real royal representation giving a firm, and basically a lot of people are complaining that there's no plan put in place. At no point has the king said, yes, you should always pay and send your people back chopped in pieces, or you should never pay and you should get forged, right? Or you should all take poison pellets, or, no sort of plan has been put in place, no solid option. Even when both options are bad, at least if the king was giving some direction, people would feel more reassured, but nothing has been put in place as such. And that leaves people feeling, frustrated and with a lack of direction. And then they're paying countless new taxes towards a coastal defense that isn't working. You can almost understand their frustration. Anyway, as summer comes to an end, Kai would be called in to attend to Queen Constance, who has taken ill. And while you're doing that, why the hell not? We'll have a check, even though you kind of know what's wrong with her. Go ahead and give me a medicine check and see if I can give you a bit more information than I did last time.
16.
Nice roll.
Little
That's
rusty.
16 with a plus 13, correct?
Yeah.
Damn.
Wow.
So it's a 3. Good job. But anyway, you have enough general knowledge to realize a few things. First of all, this ailment is not caused by any unnatural means whatsoever. It is what's known as the dry cough or the blood cough. It's not that unusual in people of older age. It's where effectively they sort of get dust in their lungs, etc., and they begin to occasionally cough up blood. TLDR, it's tuberculosis, right? It doesn't exist in this world, but it exists in this world, right? You're not going to cure TB with a healing word. I'm sorry. So yeah,
You can try.
You can acknowledge that whilst she is getting worse, you are able to treat her with both potions and with sort of honeys and syrups and various herbs to keep her throat, slick and whatever. But eventually, she will succumb to said illness. But you can make her comfortable and slow it down. In other news, Katrikan's Vixen Guard went out to claim those that had been forged in the local area and laid them to rest. And this was very ceremonial. Basically, she went out riding with a couple of her ladies, and she was beset upon by ow, shit. I don't know why I just punched my desk. She was beset upon by a forged person who attacked her with no sort of insight as to the fact it was her queen, and she was very sad and basically said, these are victims of our red ship raiders. We shouldn't be going out as if it's a celebratory hunt. We're going to claim our victims. Starling wrote a very sad song. Kai hated it. And that was pretty much that.
Well, hey, now.
Okay, fine. Starling wrote a very sad song. Kai hated her, and That was that.
There we go.
But as autumn falls to winter, obviously you've got some more free time over the season. You're not out on the boats. There's very little to protect during the winter seasons, and it was quite a heavy winter, quite a early onset winter with a late end, which is really great in some ways because it prevents the raiders from going to the shores, but at the same way it's kind of miserable. During this time, Chivalry and Lady Patience obviously passed it out to Withywoods. It fell to Verity and Katrikan to help organise like a Winterfest. If you remember last year, Patience organised it, and it was quite a chirpy affair considering the sad situations. It was all about standing unified. It was all about, you know, being a nation united. It was all about, you know, feeding the peasantry and those townsfolk and really giving them a great time and making them feel that for a moment everything was under control and everything was kind of okay. And it's fair to say that Katrikan and Verity aimed for that and just missed it by like 6 light years, which isn't even a measure of distance.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, it is.
Well,
Yeah,
sort
it
of.
is.
Yeah. They shot for it and they missed. It ended up being a sort of a solemn affair where it almost felt like they had to do it. Nobody seemed too cheerful. They didn't want to like be seen to be partying when everything's miserable, but actually all they ended up doing was making everybody miserable. So Winterfest was a complete disaster.
They're just downers.
Yeah, pretty much.
They kind of are.
Yeah, I mean, Katrikan has sort of like the mountain ways, right? Which is to say things as they are, and it's a bit more about austerity and, you know, things being a bit more plain and simple, and that was reflected in the... Oh, Jesus. Nothing is going right here. Excuse me one second. Shut up. Stupid phone. Anyway. So yeah, Winterfest was shit. And during that time, twice again, Kai, you would be called to the Queen's bedside, and she's getting worse. It's looking like she's got about 6 months to live. And you definitely hear some word in about the town that Regal is missed. Part of this is that Regal used to do the treasury, and more money would be put into festivities and festivals than was put into this Winterfest. And that's a big part of it. Like, they liked the way that he looked after the people. And he was sort of, you know, he was always very well dressed, very well to do, always calm, always relaxed, always said the right thing, right? Whereas Verity is looking like a sort of haggard old man who's exhausted all the time. Katrikan doesn't really understand the people. The king doesn't know what day of the week it is, let alone what to do with the Winterfest. You know, the Queen's lying in bed coughing up blood. The Princess Grace doesn't exist, so nobody's really achieving anything. Right?
Oh dear.
It's
so
troublesome,
tough.
it's bad. During this time, Winona, you receive a report that more visits were made to Tradeford by a boat seen to be meeting with a strange white ship. Attempts to stop this boat publicly resulted in mountains of paperwork, as the boat was the pleasure boat of Lord Bright's wife, Cecilia. Lord Bright is 7th in line for the throne. He is the Duke of Dunholm, and he is a resident of Tradeford itself. During this time, Karina would scry the boat. Is that the right spell?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Scry the boat, but it goes out of vision very briefly, sort of here.
Sorry, can you ping that again?
I'm repetitively pinging.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
so it goes into sort of like a cloud bank that shouldn't be there. Weird mists. Your vision's obscured. Like, there's feedback and crackling. You get like white noise. You know, the internet goes down. You get like a dial-up noise, and then eventually, like, it comes back out, and everything seems fine. They've got a hall of oysters, and it's great. But you would assume that that's where the nene is going on. Perhaps in the spring you might visit that sort of spot or see what's going on. But right now you don't want to take a boat out on the waters that is as large as the boats that the Rurisk and the Regal, because you will capsize. Swift-witted makes good progress at Luca's father's house and makes his way to court. So under Riddle's suggestion, and that's about as much information as we're going to do there, because Luca will deal with that when Josh is present. Burek spent a lot of time with Kepit and asked Karina if he might give the boy one of the colts of his father's horse, Ruddy. The boy names this horse Sooty, as it is sort of black and white speckled. He also is rather enjoying his weapons training, but Burek is furious that the boy is pretty inept with a sword and very good with an axe, which is not a royal's weapon in the slightest. And Burek is determined that he's going to be, you know, like the perfect sort of reimagination of his father. And the frank realization is he's not.
Axe boys.
Yeah. So all that happens. you guys move from winter into spring, and basically, in early February, Katrikan falls off the third step down in the tower from the women's garden, the Queen's garden, which is atop a tower. It's quite a difficult climb, and it's not really used, especially in the winter, but it's been Katrikan's little project. Verity, if you remember when Katrikan was getting a bit involved in his stuff and making him feel a bit incompetent, sort of suggested that she might restore it to its former glory, the Queen's garden. You guys were like, no, let's get involved in politics, and he was like, give her a garden to play with. Proving that he's completely inept as a husband. That being said, she did really enjoy the gardens, but she's made it in sort of the mountain way, which is sort of really straight line. It looks like it's from IKEA, right? It's all straight lines and minimalism, and it's not a place to enjoy and feel at peace. It's not like summer pleasure gardens. It's instead like a Japanese stone garden where you can go and meditate, which is lovely for her, but kind of not what anyone was looking for. So very few people use it. That being said, she has entertained a few ladies there, and she's really learned to take some important ladies into her confidence, mostly because of Queen Constance's Queen Constance's guidance. I'll get there. Yeah, anyway, so she went up there, they had a little tea party. The people present here were Lady Hope, Lady Modesty, the Queen Katrikan, and their maids, Rosemary and the two others. I don't think I've given you, I don't even think I have the name of the other two maids.
Guess they're ruled out. They don't have names.
Sage. What's another herb?
Why are they called herbs?
Parsley.
Oh,
That's a cute name.
Okay, fine. Yes, Lady Modesty's made parsley, and Lady Hope's made oregano.
Oh, that's cute.
Sorry, I forgot you guys are
Coriander.
American. It's oregano. No, you can't have
Is she
coriander. They
foreign?
don't know what it is. It's
that was like-
arugula. I don't know. what it is.
Arugula?
Yeah,
Arugula.
to here it's something else. Anyway, we'll call it parsley and oregano. I ruled out because they're not really very relevant. Never mind. There were 2 pages present. I've given this information already. The page Rosemary, which is Katrikan's page, and the Lady Hope's page, Gerald, were the only other attendants. Parsley died. Already dead.
There's an fly.
Already dead.
I thought I just nearly killed her.
No shit. No, we're getting to her.
Uh-oh.
Anyway, so yeah, that happened. 5 of them up there. The Lady Katrikan had a very hard fall. The healers were very worried at first, though they do believe the babe is okay. In this particular respect, Kai is not consulted. Given the sort of the women-to-women, man-to-man weird thing, and the preconceptions and stuff. Yes, I know that necessarily Kai doesn't, but, like, Katrikan's looking for, like, a woman. Like, a proper, like, full-on, big tits-out woman, who comes along and sort of looks like a midwife.
Got very specific
right?
needs in her
Yeah, she does,
doctors.
she does. She really wants them to look like midwives. And that's what she gets. As far as you know, though, the midwife is a pretty competent healer, although she can be occasionally a little bit harsh. At this point, she's about 6.5, 7 months pregnant. Pretty bad time to have a fall. Winona questions the various people, but the only thing you really discover is that it was lamp grease on the 2nd and 3rd step from the top of the stairs. Your foot wouldn't fall there on your way up, but it was a very natural place for it to fall on the way down. Katrikan went first down the stairs, so she was the one who fell. Anyone has access to the gardens. They are public. That being said, you wouldn't have like a randomer from outside. Like, not anybody has access to the castle itself, but anyone who has access to Castle Valaris would have access to the Queen's Garden.
Well, all right. A lot of
narrows
suspects.
it down to about 600 people, maybe a few more.
A lot of suspects.
Yeah.
One by one, we'll question them all.
Oh, okay, good. Right.
I got nothing but time.
Right, let's roleplay that. So the first person you're gonna. Okay. Anyway. However, within a month, there is a second attempt on the Lady Katrikan. This time, a kitchen girl who prepared the tea for Katrikan tried it in advance to make sure that she got the balance right, and fell incredibly ill. In fact, close to death. Kai would have been called upon, obviously, being the most proficient healer in the castle. to save her from a certain death. Her name is... Different page. Come on, load up. Let's just Google.
Got a name, she's a suspect.
Her name is
Exactly.
Laura, but annoyingly spelled Lora, which is disgusting. Anyway.
Yeah, I don't love that.
No, I don't love that either, but that is her name. She made the tea and she drank it. You can include her as a suspect if you like, but most people that poison people aren't quite that stupid.
She's playing the long game. I'm not ruling her out.
I'll nearly kill myself and prevent the tea from getting to its intended recipient.
Yes, to gain everyone's trust.
Okay. You can probably rule her out as a suspect. You will, however, discover that the poison is called Whimsbane. It's made from regular herbs that you would find growing in Arvenia. Worm tongue, petals, arctic creeper, and hyacinth nectar. It is clear and near tasteless. The kitchen girl's a girl, right? She's like 13. If it was given to a grown woman or an adult, it wouldn't make them anywhere near as ill as it made the girl. Instead, it would just make them pretty sick. It basically would simulate flu symptoms, which obviously may not be related. Somebody might not have made the jump that it was because of the tea, right? So you might take that as as part of the investigation. However, it would have perhaps caused great damage to the babe. So you can assume that the baby was the target.
Oh my god. Okay, see, if the girl made it, then whatever she used to make it is what was poisoned, right? It wasn't slipped in after the fact?
You would almost guarantee that it was slipped in. Like,
okay.
It would have to be like diluted down into this clear, thin liquid. So unless someone poisoned the water in the well, which you can test quite easily by taking a glass of it and dipping your finger in it,
okay,
and smelling it, or and other than that, she just had dried herbs that she used for tea. Because back in these days, you don't use tea bags, right? It's just herbs. The tea that was being prepared was winterberry and mint, which is one of Katrika's favorite teas. And it helps quell her morning sickness.
Oh my god! So they slipped this in.
So somebody's just stuck it in
between her making it and
drinking
sipping it.
Yeah.
Oh
the tea is usually left to steep for about 20 minutes. You've got to remember that getting it hot is quite difficult in this day and age, right? So we put over the stove, water and herbs in, and then left to steep for about 20 minutes. The girl, sort of distressed, nearly dying and crying, informs you that she did indeed leave the kitchen. She needed to relieve herself, and she would assume that was the time. But the kitchen has many, people in it. Cook Sarah is in charge of the kitchens, and she has not taken on any new members of staff in over 5 years. Laura started working in the kitchens when she was sort of 6 or 7 years old. She is Sarah's niece. So she started off by just sort of running the odd errand and being around and seeing the kitchen. And over the last few years, she started to actually take on some duties. She is the youngest of the kitchen girls. The next one being Pansy, who's 16.
Oh my goodness.
It is worth noting that a lot of people eat in the kitchens. So you can come in if you're somebody of relevance, like a noble or someone of import. You can sort of enter the kitchens and be like, "Can I grab a meal?" And Sarah would so there's loads of people could have gone in and out.
A lot of suspects.
Again, yeah, it's pretty difficult crime to track down.
All right.
Nobody can really name the people, but because of this, Katrika and Verity come to the conclusion that they would like to make their way to the Mountain Kingdom, where her babe can be born safely. Because nobody gets poisoned in the Mountain Kingdom.
Nope, that's never happened once.
Just saying. Cool. And it is at this point that I'll let you guys play some D&D. Sorry for the long story, which you've already all read and all done by play-by-post, but I think it was worth, us really catching up and doing it all together. So at this point, you're sort of mid-March, late March. It's hoped that you will return to the boat in April for another year, for another season out. But obviously, if you want to delay a little bit, that's fine. Katrina and Verity plan to go on on Karina's father's boat most of the way, and then a barge the last bit of the way. probably the same barge that you guys went on with the dwarf.
It's kind of at this point that I might point out, if Kai is going with them anyway, that Kai does have a way of just getting there. We have a nice staff that we got.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
The Voyager
the
staff.
Voyager staff. Roll me an Arcana check. Karina. I don't know why Kai would know this.
I don't either.
28.
Yeah, teleportation not
Damn.
good when you're pregnant. Don't do it.
What?
Did you know that you can arrive not pregnant?
Baby born, easy, let's go.
No,
Oh my
honestly,
God.
and this is genuinely from the lore of the books, not from D&D lore. I have no idea if your other pregnant characters can teleport. I haven't got a clue. But in the books, there's a system of teleportation available, and if you go through when you're pregnant, you arrive as if you were never pregnant in the first place. The baby just left
Damn.
behind. Whoop. You can actually travel through stones, like the Witness Stones. I think you guys have heard some stories about them. That black stone with silver vein in them in the books, and if you do so, you arrive not pregnant. So don't do that, please.
Okay.
It's kind of the worst way to make a prince appear. I'm so
Advanced
glad I had
birth
it.
control.
I was just about to say, that's like...
Every 6 months, I
Good.
teleport to Dunhome.
Just gotta be sure.
Yeah. No, it will be a journey. But it's not a dangerous
boy.
journey, right? If you remember, it's about a week.
Yeah.
And on your father's boat with Kai and Galthak, I'm sure they'll be pretty safe.
Yeah. If need be, I can always bring more people.
Mhm.
If we need the extra safety.
I
but
think
for
it's
the
fair to
time
say
being,
you'd
I think
probably,
it's fine.
you and Elena, is that her name? Brightlance?
Astrid?
Astrid.
Astrid, yeah, that's her name. Astrid Brightlance can sort of get together and select the guards that will travel with you.
Ooh.
But yeah, I think it's sort of an as and whatever really. Galthak's perfectly capable of doing the majority of the defending. Kai's obviously fairly powerful as well. I think the two of you will be absolutely fine. Would you stay in the Mountain Kingdom until the baby is born?
Yes. I would be.
Yeah, and Galthak?
Yeah.
Okay, and then escort them
you'd
back,
be-
ostensibly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Before they go, right, and before this is all planned, they do call you into Verity's map room, which seems to be the place of privacy. Sharam, obviously, who will be travelling with them, will provide you all with tea, and you're able to sit down with them and sort of have a chat. And Verity informs you that the lie that will be told to the populace is that Katrina has been struggling with the warm air in comparison to the mountains. And she's been really unwell in the heat, and she wants to head to her mountain kingdom home for the cold and fresh air. It's a terrible lie. It's currently March. But never mind.
I was
she
just about to
understands.
ask what the season
but
was.
but the baby would be born in late May, early June, right?
Perfect.
Verity hopes to also secure the alliance and reinforce the coastal guard, as well as check in on the timber for more ships to defend the coastline. Obviously, this is all total bullshit. They just want to go so the baby is actually born. But they do bring you in because they want to, Katrikan specifically wants to do more research on the Solas. I have no idea why Discord auto-corrects it to Solar. To the Solas or Elderlings.
Yeah, I was wondering what the fuck that was.
The solar
Yes,
system.
Josh was like, what's the Solar? And I was like, I don't know. And he was like, it's here, you wrote it. I was like, shit. So I did. Anyway.
Oops.
So they want to do some more research on that. It is believed that when King Wisdom, if you remember on the tablet long ago, King Wisdom seeked the Elderlings to defend the coast from the Raiders. This is how you first started hearing about the Elderlings. It is believed that he departed from Jahamp off into the mountains somewhere. She thinks there are some old maps in her father's palace-ish thing that might be worth consulting.
Yes. Queen.
Yeah.
Not yet.
Go on. Sorry, did you say something, Jay?
It was rude, so it's Michaela, because she said yes, Queen. I said not yet.
Ah, yes. No, not yet. Yes, I think what you're looking for is, yes, Queen in waiting.
Nice.
So what's the plan? Obviously, Kai, you're going with. Galthak, you are going to be guarding Kepit. Yes. You're gonna,
Yeah.
not personally, but you're gonna arrange for some guards for Kepit. As Korean's
Yeah,
a little bit worried.
I'll basically just send out some letters to with high priority to very specific select people, probably a couple, no more than that.
Okay.
And basically
Some
calling
big bulky
them
manses
to,
with big bulky
yeah,
weapons.
basically just calling them to conclude whatever jobs they've got and
Mhm.
high priority something from the boss.
Obviously, Riddle has men watching over Kepit as well. You can imagine that Chivalry has men watching over Kepit, so meanwhile there's just this small army rotating around Karina's house. It's fine. Honestly, they're not going to get past Mrs. Higgs.
Exactly.
She's a widow. I've never managed to call her Mrs.
Yes.
Higgs once. She's a widow.
Yes.
Yeah, she called her husband. Anyway.
He had it covered.
He had it coming. He had it coming all along. He ran into her knife 1,000 times. Yes, anyway. Back to the point. Obviously, you're in this meeting. If there's anything you would like to ask the royals before they bugger off, you may. If there are any preparations that Kai or Garthak would like to make before departing on the boat, please go ahead.
I think in terms of preparation, the only thing I would like before we leave is to make sure that we have all the suitable equipment on the boat and with us that we need.
Yep, that is assumed.
You know,
you're pretty capable of preparing for a journey. You're going with the royals. You're going on a big boat, and you all rich. You'll be fine.
We are rich.
I mean, you guys are rich as well, but I more meant like the king and queen in waiting. They've got all the money in the world, right? That they need because they can commandeer things for free anyway. So yeah, it'll be, I'm sure, incredibly well equipped.
but in that case, I can't really think of any preparations I'd be needing to make. I think we're pretty good for the journey.
Oh, Galthak, before you go, I will hand Galthak my cap of water breathing, and I'll say, in case the princess, I mean the queen in waiting, takes an unfortunate tumble, maybe give her this.
If she falls off a boat, she's got the worst fucking luck.
That's what it looks like.
But to be fair, it's a do you remember what happened on the barge? Like, that ship was scary, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, worth doing.
I'm just looking at this cap that's being handed to me, sort of somewhat in disbelief, somewhat laughing,
You
going,
described this
there is
cap
no
before.
way
What did it look like?
possibly happen.
I'm sure you
It's like a
described
little.
this cap in the past.
It's like a little newsboy cap
Oh yeah, I remember. Okay.
that lets you breathe water.
Yeah.
It's not knitted and it's not yellow.
Oh.
Wrong campaign. Kai, is there anything
Absolutely
specific
not.
you would need to do before leaving?
Only thing would be like take inventory of any healing related things.
Okay.
Anything medical.
Yeah, you will be packed with healing salves, antidotes, antitoxins, healing potions, and then some weird other stuff like potions of cold resistance and stuff. Just in general, they're on the boat. They're not going in your inventory, so don't worry too much about it. But they will be available to you should something go wrong. No, you can't run off with them if she doesn't need them. No, but
I
in
don't
general,
steal.
no, I know, but in general, people are always like, "Wait, items? Can I keep them?" Yeah. You can assume that like everything that could possibly have been considered has been added in there. And then like all sorts of weird people are contributing things when they're not asked to. Like the midwife's all like, "Oh, I had this special tea when I was pregnant," and, and the Kiksara feels guilty because Katrigan's got poisoned by her niece. So she's like, "Yeah, I'll pack you some ginger cakes," and then some other person's like, "I'll pack you a sprig of ivy, it's good luck," and the other one's like, "I'll cut the sprig of ivy, it's bad luck," and everybody's preparing all the things. If there's anything you need on that boat that you don't have, it's gonna be a fucking shock. Not to also remember that you can just teleport off the boat and teleport back the next day.
Yeah.
So if you're really missing something,
That's true.
you'll be right. So with that in mind, it leaves Karina, Luca. Hello.
Hello.
Wow. That was like a hiccup cough thing. It just made a noise like a strangled otter in my throat.
Oh.
Katrina, Merity, and Kai and Galthak will make their way off down the river. and will leave behind Karina, Winona, and Luca. During this time, Luca is spending a lot of time with Swift-Witted and Webb, the Witmaster, who arrived with his goal, who he is bonded to through a wit bond called Risk. The court don't like that, but it's been pretty firmly placed that he's going to be respected, and his opinion's going to be listened to. And it's just to prove that basically witted people aren't really that different to not witted people. They don't transform into animals. They can't command the chickens to rise up and murder you all. They just, occasionally have a bond with an animal. Not in a legal way. So that's them. Anyway, as I said, we'll focus more on that when Josh/Luca is back. But in the meantime, Capit is studying well. Karina, I believe you were trying to teach him magic.
Mm-hmm.
An unmitigated disaster. He's as incompetent as it comes, but you do manage to teach him minor illusion. He loves his deck of illusions so much that he probably paid a bit more attention to that lesson than the others. So he has managed to produce minor illusion. His prestidigitation sort of occasionally makes things slightly warmer. That's it. Doesn't do anything else.
Start.
Yeah, it's something.
Anybody can be a wizard. That is Karina's mindset, and it will not change.
That is absolutely fair, and in this world, kind of true, really. Just not anybody can be a good wizard. Yes, I mean, Jenkins was a wizard for years, and the only spell he could cast was Illusory Script.
Jenkins has had a glow up.
Yeah,
Oh,
he's
yeah,
got much more competence since then. He can summon a tiny desk.
Perfect.
But can he summon Cher?
No.
Exactly. He has to stand at his tiny desk.
No chairs have been
We need
summoned by
to teach him
Jenkins.
to summon a fucking chair.
Anyway, so he's also learning plenty of other things on his studies, and I'm sure occasionally you'll sit in with him as he begins to learn the different languages of Iscrandia and of the Mountain Kingdom, and learn the geography of the world, really, as much as people know about it. And he also has to do all the typical royal learning. So he has to know all the crests and all the dukes and all the duchesses and their lines and their lineages and the royal line towards the throne, which is getting really, really short. And just in general, he needs to, learn all that typical stuff. And he's doing quite well at it. In that time, Winona, I'm sure you will have been investigating that white ship scenario that we were talking about in the past. I'm doing other various interesting things like raising a camel.
Yes.
About a month after the group have departed, we will come to Kai and Galthak shortly. But about a month after the group had departed, you receive news from Withywoods that Chivalry was thrown from his horse.
Oh, no.
He landed with his head and shoulder first and died almost instantly. The news comes from Patience, written by letter, and it was a shock and horrible story to all. There's a huge state funeral and all that shenanigans and jazz. But obviously, suspicious circumstances. In fact, Karina will hear Burek say to Kepit that horse, Ruddy, who, if you remember, is the father of Kepit's horse, Sooty, would never throw anyone. And the Chivalry would never lose his seating on a horse. Like, he's a very competent rider. Yeah. So it comes as a shock to all.
My goodness.
Let's have some appropriately tragic music.
Yeah. I can't believe it. Horse Chivalry.
Yeah, poor Chivalry.
Died off screen.
Oh, like Lady Grace.
Oh, we didn't notice she died too.
No.
She was also on the horse.
Took a big jump off the tower. Anyway, no. Obviously, Prince Chivalry's death is quite impactful, but less impactful than it would have been if he was the Crown Prince.
I know, he just quit his job.
Yeah, he quit his job, and then 4 months later, his neck actually made that noise. It went. Slap bang wallop. Dead.
Oh, man. Well, the thing is, there's no time to waste. Is it
very
like...
vague.
Is it inappropriate if I just go right to Lady Patience's house now?
No,
or
not at all.
Okay. I worry she
Many
might be
people
busy
will. Many people will.
grieving.
Well, many people will, right? Many will go
Oh,
to wish
okay,
her
cool.
well. The state funeral happens at the castle, but there's a quieter funeral with some of the closer friends of Patience and I'm not including any of you, but some of the closer friends of Patience and Chivalry would have been there at the funeral. Karina's popped into Patience's dreams a couple of times, but is by no means a confidant.
Oh my
Um,
god.
Yeah, but you guys can head up there as as investigators more than anything else, right?
Exactly.
Would you take Starling?
Yes.
All right, yeah, take that bard. She's good at keeping notes. Karina?
Exactly.
I would ask Kepit if he has any desire to go, because unless he does, I don't think he should.
Are you going to tell him his father died straight up?
Well, if Bjork doesn't beat me to it.
Yeah. Bjork goes into great mourning. He was found outside the stables with a pyre, a funeral pyre for chivalry. So, it's time to take you down a road of tradition. Maybe I should. This music is very happy for sad music, isn't it? Here, the world's end. That can't be cheerful, right? Oh, perfect. Lovely. The old traditions. If you remember Ida and El, goddess of the land and goddess of the sea, god of the sea, and these sort of old-style traditions that are mostly overwritten in Arvenia. Still, lots of the more common folk adhere to them. It was spoken that chivalry worshipped Ida and El in private, or paid respects to them, I think might be a better phrase. And one of the ceremonies that's very typical in Arvenia when anyone dies is to take a lock of your hair and burn it upon the funeral pyre in sort of remembrance, to give a part of you to go with them, to travel with them. Bjork has shaven his head completely and placed this upon the funeral pyre. And he was found sort of drinking at 7 a.m., 8 a.m., stomping around furious with his old dog Vixen with him, basically mourning the Prince Chivalry. But due to this, he was a bit incapacitated to have told Kepit anything. The news was sent to you in a private letter, Karina, a couple of days before it's announced by the state. What would you do?
Where is Kepit now?
This time in the morning, bed. It's like 7 a.m. You can assume that the rider rode through the night to be here at this time. Well, they rode to the castle. The castle rode to you.
Trying to think if I should get any sort of breakfast, but I think I'm just gonna go up.
Should I give him bacon with the news of his father's death?
Do I give him pancakes to soften the
Pancakes
blow?
with a side of grief. You head up to his room. He's curled up, asleep.
I'm just going to walk over and gently sit down on the edge of the bed.
He sort of comes to and looks up and... Oh, morning.
Good morning. I've received some sad news.
Oh.
And I'm not sure how it'll make you feel. And it might make you feel a lot of things, and they're all okay.
What is it? Is it Soti? Is Soti okay?
Sooty is fine.
You can see his instant relief.
Your father, Chivalry, has passed away.
Oh. He looks sort of confused. Looks back at you. What if I don't feel anything? Should I feel something? He didn't want me, right?
Feelings are very complicated. You might feel nothing ever. You might feel something one day. And it's okay.
What will happen to me?
Nothing.
Nothing will change.
Nothing's gonna change. There will probably be a funeral.
Do I have to go?
No. You don't
Try that line
have
on
to
on
go.
the king.
You don't have to go to funeral at his home. I think it would be best if we did go to the one here in Valaris.
You'll
Pay
come?
respects.
I'll be with you,
Absolutely.
right? And Mrs. Higgs?
Yes.
That's okay. I can do that.
Do you want some pancakes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do I? No. And he sort of hesitates, and you can tell he can't even form the question he was trying to ask. So he gives up. Will you adhere to any of the traditional mourning on his behalf? Will you cut his hair, for example? Traditional mourning for a father would dictate cutting your hair to a close crop. Which, bearing in mind, most boys and men's hair is grown long, and, you know, well below shoulder length, is quite a severe cutback.
As much as it's royal knowledge of who he is it public knowledge of who he is?
Sort of. It is public knowledge that Chivalry has a bastard. It's not public knowledge that Kepit is that bastard.
Yeah, then I'm not going to make it overtly obvious. I might cut a lock of hair.
Yeah,
But
Riddle
not-
is in great agreement. If I mean, he will probably just advise you in a letter not to give away too much information, not to remind people of the potential lineage. For anybody who looks closely at Kepit's face, it's quite obvious he's a Farseer. But, you know, not many people look closely at his face. Not many people see him at all. Okay. But you won't take him to the personal funeral with... okay. Mrs. Higgs will obviously look after him in the meantime with the veritable army of people around the house. Burek recovers from his tragedy after almost 24 hours of solid drinking and crying. And he will want to go to the private funeral. They were very, very close, Burek and Chivalry. He does sort of at one point challenge your authority a little bit on cutting the boy's hair, but when it's explained to him that it's for the boy's safety, he understands. What's the plan for you and Winona to head on over to Patience's?
Is Fox staying in town?
Luca?
Luca?
Yes, that one!
Dang.
Fox is
lost-
staying
I mixed-
firmly
I
in
mixed
Sagravia.
campaigns!
Fox is staying firmly in
Campaigns.
Sagravia.
Look, he is a fox.
He's a fox.
Not
He
my
is a
boy.
fault.
fox, yes,
It's
that is
been weeks since we've played.
It has actually, hasn't
Easily
it?
done.
How did
Yes, it has.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I think that is a good point for us to take a short break. We'll be right back. Hello, welcome back to the second half of Soulforged. I nearly called it Sagravia. We are travelling to Withywoods. Withywoods is an ancient and old estate. It has long been in the possession of the crown and is often given to sort of the brother of the king or the second son of the king, or, you know, like some person that's like close to the royals but isn't actually royal. Most recently, it was in the possession of August. August is, I believe, 5th in line for the throne, maybe 4th by now. There's quite a few people dead. Let's scroll all the way to the top. So it's King Just, who's obviously the king. He's first in line. First in line would be King in Waiting, because Prince Chivalry abdicated and then died. Then it's Princess Grace, who doesn't really exist. Then it's August. And then it's Capet.
Oh my goodness.
And August has been asked to vacate the throne. So August is the son of King Just's younger brother. Not Discretion, who was his older brother, but his younger brother, who was legitimate, who died soon after the child was born.
Oh, wow.
He was killed in an Ascrandian war. Yes.
So this is their cousin.
So August is the king's nephew, and indeed is Chivalry's cousin, but he was displaced by Chivalry abdicating the throne, which probably pissed August off a fair amount. August instead has retired to Dunholm, to a place there. August is slightly younger than Chivalry, but older than Verity.
Dang, he just stole this guy's house.
Pretty much, yeah. Well, he didn't steal it. The king told him to go there, right? So the king was just like, get out, you're done. We're putting someone else there.
Where is this place on the map?
So it is in the same duchy as Valaris, but it is... Oh, good ping! Somebody's on
Okay.
point.
Wow.
Where's my thing? Where's my
You
thing?
said it
Okay,
was
so-
south of Brook in Barry.
So not-
that was my
not-
guess.
So not far.
My
Very
brain doesn't
nice.
work while I'm reading. Bear with, please. Oh, come on. Where are you hiding? My brain's just frozen. Here we go.
It's not the thing you want freezing.
It's because pins is under W
Makes sense.
for world pins.
Oh.
No, I didn't name them. That's a very big pin.
That's a large pin.
That's a very big. Yeah, that's better.
Okay, it's there. It's there.
Okay, so not far.
That's a day's journey.
How about by camel?
64 miles by camel. It's a day's journey
Okay.
if you're lucky. Right? It's a very fast camel.
I don't know. I've been training her. You know,
Okay.
I've been investing in like the racetrack behind Winona's house.
Yep. And Karina is riding.
Phantom Steed.
Of course.
Oh, did it not have a name? I thought it had a name. It's the water one, right?
Does. It's Adria, yes.
Adria, perfect. Yes, the water horse, as I call it, with the water mane,
Aw.
which is proper cool and exciting. Anyway, so we travel over to Withy Woods. As I said, it's a very, very old estate, right? It's been in the royal family for sort of 700 or 800 years. It's been sort of rebuilt a little bit and plastered over and stuff. But basically,
Pretty.
to explain it, it's near the town of Withy, but not that close. The town of Withy is a little way away. It's a very large estate upon which are pastures for sheep, pastures for cows. There is an orchard there, both for apples and for pears. There is a large vineyard that produces an excellent wine every 2 years. Don't ask me why, I have no idea why it only produces it every 2 years. There are olive gardens, which somehow grow in this land, I don't know why. There is a large sort of hedge maze, and there is something called the Circle Gardens. The Circle Gardens is like, it's a large circle, basically, that's enclosed, using like a series of like pergolas and banners, where plants are trained to like grow up them. There's basically a sample of almost every plant known to Arvenia in that garden. The estate itself is very grand. It has over 40 bedrooms.
Wow.
And 3 wings. Yeah, very, very large. Very complicated. And they have like different suites inside. And the suites, Patience has had redone and renamed in the colours of the rainbow. And please don't ask me to list the colours of the rainbow in order, because I don't know, but I think it's red and orange first. So, for example, it's like the red suite, the orange suite,
Yellow.
yellow, pink and green, orange and purple,
All right.
blue,
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
indigo, I don't know.
Well, we got indigo.
Roy G. Biv.
Roger Biv, baby.
Variety, Biv.
Yeah.
Red, orange, yellow, green.
Violet,
red,
indigo.
violet.
No, blue, indigo, violet. Yeah.
Okay, I
Blue,
always said it was
indigo,
red and
violet.
yellow and pink and green, orange and
Oh
purple
my
and blue.
God.
That's an English song.
This is
so
what
I
it's
can sing a
descended
rainbow.
into.
I was like a 7-year-old, but I love that song. Anyway, basically, there's the red sweet, the
Dang.
orange sweet, and other sweets in the colours of the rainbow in order from west to east. Why it's west to east, I don't know, because it should start with dawn, right, and end with sunset, but it doesn't. It goes the wrong way. Don't ask Patience. I'm sure she doesn't know either, and if she did, the writer didn't tell me why. What matters, though, is that they've got all those
Dang.
suites, and then you've also got the master suites, the master bedroom. What's important about the master suites is that they are the only things on the top floor, right? So there's only 2 floors. Well, there's 3 floors, sorry. And on the 3rd floor, there is only the master suite. There is nothing else. The master suite consists of a main room, and then a drawing room, a dining room, a bathroom, a sort of wardrobe room. You know, there's lots of rooms, but it's one suite. Yeah, and as Karina and Winona arrive riding in on a camel and a water horse,
Yep.
yeah, quite a way away from the estates themselves, you are stopped by 2 men. They come riding in, and they are wearing full royal armor, and they sort of walk up and can I help you?
Flash our badges. We're here to
Hey, our
wait. I was just about to say the public word is out yet or not. Either way,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
we're
out.
here to pay our respects.
It's out.
Okay, yeah, pay our respects then.
I see. So you won't be visiting the lady patients, or?
Oh, well, pay our respects to her.
I see.
As
They're
well.
seeking an appointment. You should speak to Dewitt. He's the steward here.
Thank you.
Yeah, he's a very old man. Be gentle with him, but he's most favoured of the lady patients. She is most distraught. Please have a care and be gentle. So what you know of the lady patients is that she's very eccentric, very erratic. She doesn't conform to any sort of tradition whatsoever. But she does command a lot of respect. Not necessarily love from the people. She was never quite the queen in waiting she should have been. But, you know, people kind of are fond of weird, eccentric people, and they love the fact that Chivalry married for love, not an alliance. You know, everybody loves a romantic story when it comes to the royals. But yeah, she's as renowned for her weird knowledge of herbs and her tattooing skills as she is for, you know, throwing weird festivals and loving dance when she loves this type of dance where you put bells on your feet and hands. She's a very strange person. She is about 4 years Chivalry senior. So she would currently be 37, I believe, 38.
Perfect.
As you arrive, you do see other people arriving in ostentatious carriages.
Oh my goodness.
Nobody is riding themselves, right? They're all being led in wagons, carriages, carts, etc.
Losers.
Of course, they're too fancy.
There is absolutely no common folk here that you can see.
Yeah, that tracks. What is the name of this place again, real
Withy
quick?
Woods. Sorry, it's not.
Oh, that's so cute.
Not on the map at all. And it's near the town of Withy.
Ah, perfect.
She's actually called Withy on the Water, but nobody calls it that. It's also near Oaks by Water, but they're sort of so minor they're not even on the map. They're tiny little places. It's a very cute, pleasant place.
Yeah, it looks
With 40
nice. Nice place to retire.
bedrooms. So what's the plan? Front door?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just, you know,
Walk
let's
on
just
up.
go straight to her.
Knock, knock, knock.
Well, no. We're looking for the steward first.
Okay, so to make you aware, there is a large sort of queue of carts and carriages out to the east wing. And they seem to be being dealt with by a very dapper-looking gentleman, about 30, 35 years old. He's wearing a large, tall hat and has a stick, and he's shouting a lot of orders. It's a very ostentatious ceremony going on there, and that's where all the rich folk seem to be going.
Goodness. The rich folk. Should...
You want to jump the line there, or do you want to go to the front door instead? They're not at the front door. They're all going to the east wing. They're all over there.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah, I wanted to avoid that line if possible.
Okay, so you're going for the front door, are you?
Yeah.
Okay. After a short while, a young girl answers the door. She must be about 17 or 18 years old.
Oh dear.
Hi. People don't normally come to the front door. Can I help you?
Yes. Do not remember that steward's name, but
Dewitt.
Do you know where Mr. Dewitt might be?
Oh yes, the steward's quite busy at the moment. He's organising some of the official folks, and he's also looking after Lady Patience and her more. Well, she sees it as more important gathering. I'll just get him for you. She runs off, and after about 3 minutes, an old gentleman who sort of is trying to hurry, but his back is genuinely bowed. He appears to be in his 80s. He's got a stick. He's human. He's very balding, but he has a little bit of grey hair sort of in a circle around the side of his head, which he seems to be quite well pruned. It's like combed neatly, you know. He wears sort of very sort of fine silks, but cut quite elegantly. He's not wearing any jewellery at all. He looks at you and, good day. Might I be of assistance?
Yes. Flash our badge.
The Lady Patience isn't really looking for official business today.
You go, Karina, you go.
Not official. We're here's friend.
Ah, I see. And that's why you're not with those lot. He sort of nods his head towards all the rich folk. The Lady Patience is, in her own way. She's seeing some of the folk she deems most important on this day. The people of Withywoods, for the most part, grieve with her. Some of Chivalry's men and servants and such. Would you have any opposition to mixing with the common folk, so to speak?
No, not at all. Not at all.
Wonderful. I'll lead you through. There's tea and snacks available when you're in there if you'd like. Come, I'll show you to her. She's in the lesser hall. And he leads you sort of down a passageway and into what is called the lesser hall, which is a lovely hall. Patience actually prefers it because there's a lot of natural light coming in. You hear revelry. Party, almost.
Goodness.
There is at least one group of minstrels playing. There is a couple of people dancing. And when you come in, everybody here is dressed very plainly. They are clearly servants, gardeners, kitchen folk, the orchard men. There's a few soldiers who appear to be dressed in plain clothes. There's a stableman or two. There's a couple of younger people sort of mixing about. And sat on the floor next to 3 or 4 other minstrels who appear to be telling a tale of some sort with some little puppets. In between 2 children between the ages of 8 and 10 is Lady Patience. She's wearing an incredibly inappropriately short dress in multiple bright colours, and she has a garland of flowers around her neck.
Wow. They move on quick over here. Yeah, I mean...
Just making a beeline straight across the peeps.
I'll try to, get her attention, hey, we're over here. And then
she sees you and she waves a hand.
Great. Now that she's seen us, I feel more appropriate to just walk up to her.
Okay. As you walk over, quick, sit down. They're about to do the pocked man. Come and enjoy. And she gestures.
The what?
The pocked man. It's a great little show. And she pats a cushion next to her and invites you to sit down with her.
I do
as
so.
You look at her, give me an insight check.
Yes, please.
Okay, yeah, what's going on here? Pretty bad.
Karina as well.
16.
16.
Okay.
Okay.
Hold on. I got a 15, but I think I can add.
You're gonna flash a genius.
No, I don't have that. I can. Here we go. No, I'm only level 3 artificer. And I don't think I'm. Flash of genius, you wish. I can add a D8.
Can
which
you?
I don't. with my psionic power.
Ah, your psionic dice, yeah.
Let's see if I get a good number. I don't have any d8s out, so I'll roll it here. I mean, so one better than Korea.
Well, you're both more
17.
than above the DC. You will see that she has tears stained down her face. Her makeup has run. And while she has a great smile on her face, she's obviously been crying for most of the day. She has bloodshot eyes. Her hair is a little disheveled. And as you look around, you do see a couple of other people who've obviously been crying as well. And as you sit down, she says,
Aw.
"This was Chivalry's favourite as a boy." And the puppeteers begin to perform what is the Pocked Man. He is the harbinger of the plague and death and destruction. But in this particular play, he is brought down by two young men, about 14 or 15 years old, who tie his legs up with a skipping rope and toss him down a well. Sounds kind of brutal. But nevertheless, the Pocked Man is the harbinger of death and doom, but this story is about how basically he's tricked by two youngsters as he comes to bring plague to their village. They tie him up and lob him down a well, and that's the end of that. It's quite a chirpy and very silly play. And she teeters between laughing and crying. The young boys love it, and she will tell you that they are August's grandchildren. August's. Wow, that's confusing. August's nephews. Yes, that's the one. Right. The August's nephews.
Okay.
Make of that what you will. She gives no information.
Yeah.
Was August an only child? Was he married?
August has married.
Do we know this? Okay.
Okay. Well.
So, yeah, make of it what you will. Anyway, she sort of turns to you and sort of with a shrug goes, "August's looking after the well-to-do folk, but that was never my line. You've obviously travelled far to come. Can I... Perhaps, would you like a scone?"
Would love a scone. Lady Patience.
So this is after the play. She makes you sit through the play first. Right, and then
Of
she gets
course,
up.
naturally.
As she's walking across, she greets sort of everyone she passes by name. She knows every stableman, every gardener, every young boy and girl and whatever. Greets them all sort of by name and how are you doing, thanks for coming, etc. And she would eventually lead you to a little table. She sort of leans in close to you and conspiratorially says to you, I helped bake these, which means they're probably not as good as usual.
I'm sure they're delicious.
Jam, and she takes a bite and memories of childhood. Oh, Chivalry loved scones. And then she sort of sobs for a moment, and then she brings herself back together and... So sorry, you've come a long way. You're not to hear an old lady weeping. What can I do for you?
Oh my goodness. First of all, Lady Patience, you are far from being an old lady. But...
Well, perhaps.
I feel like this is probably not a great time, but
it's never a great time.
The
okay.
Circumstances surrounding Chivalry's death seem strange.
Awfully suspicious, don't they?
Yes. And
we shouldn't speak of that here.
Okay.
Many years. Not all of them are. I trust most of the people here, but you never know. Things get out. If you wouldn't mind staying the day, I must see to those people who've come to visit. Didn't even know him. They come because it's the right thing to do, or because it'll show well, or because they seek to further their alliances while they're here, and see how far they've advanced in the wake of my husband's demise. Sorry, but
Vultures.
Afterwards, perhaps I might offer you some rooms in the Violet Suite. It's one of my favourite. Wait, is violet the colour in the rainbow? It better be.
Yes.
Yes.
It is now. Yeah, it must be because it's in the books. Okay.
My favorite color
is in the Violet Suite. It's my favourite suite. And perhaps later this evening we might take a stroll in the gardens together. We have wonderful gardens here at Withywood's.
I saw that. Sounds delightful.
Lovely.
Is there anything we can do for you in the meantime?
Funny you should ask that. There is something, if you wouldn't mind. I would very much love a jasmine tea. Do you know your way around herbs and plants?
You have the wrong people of our group for that, I'm afraid.
I'm sure we can figure it out.
Okay. No, that's okay. That's quite all right. and she calls over to a young girl, about 12 years old. She said, "This is Delia. She's learning her herbs and plants. I'm sure she'll be of great use. She's one of the garden girls. Perhaps she might go with you and obtain some jasmine for a mug of tea. That would be lovely."
All right.
Of course.
Oh, I'm so sorry. And she sort of trips and falls forwards and leans on Karina. And as she does so, she says very quietly to Karina, "If you could see if anyone is using anything to look on us, I'd really appreciate it. I understand you're magically inclined." "I'm so sorry."
right
And
there.
she sort of steps back. And yes, quite fine, thank you. Please look after Delia. She's lovely. I'm sure she'll take you on a great tour. "Aren't you, Delia?" And Delia sort of looks like, "Yes, ma'am."
Ah.
And yes, you'll be sent out to the gardens to wander them. And while you do so, she's hoping that you might just use detect magic, basically.
Yeah, I will periodically detect magic.
Okay. You do after a couple of hours, or a couple of hours. Wow. After a couple of casts is what I was going for. After a couple of casts, you unearth a man who has sort of climbed into a bush.
What?
And he appears to be using a pail of water in front of him to attempt a scrying. And he's got like leaves stuck to his eyebrows and everything. He looks ridiculous.
What's this guy's
But as you
deal?
tumble that man from the bush, I shall instead flip over to Kai and Galthak.
Oh boy.
And Kai and Galthak, I'm gonna be very quick with the first bit. You made it to Jam successfully. Congratulations, well done.
Yay!
And now we're back to Karina. No, I'm joking. We're not going back to Karina straight away.
That was it.
So, once you made it to the mountains, it's very clear that Katrikan is much beloved by this ale music. Let me change that. She is much beloved by the mountain folk. She is, effectively their princess since her brother was so brutally murdered and died. And as a reminder, she's known as Sacrifice, as is her father. She's a servant to the people as much as anything else. But you see that there's a lot of love and genuine kindness and friendship. And she does seem a lot lighter-hearted than she did back at the palace. Verity looks a little lost. But you can see that he's beginning to really dote on Katrikan, and vice versa. Whilst they still don't have any understanding of each other whatsoever, there does seem to be a genuine bond of love. They've now been married almost a year, so, in fact, more than a year. Yeah, more than a year. That went by quick, didn't it? God. Well, you spent so much time out on the sea, right?
Time flies.
Anyway, you are given rooms in Eord's palace, and you're sort of allowed to just, be yourselves and make free with the amenities, so to speak. Head to the library, head to the taverns, that sort of thing. You will note that Katrikan's health does improve pretty drastically and quickly. She wasn't unwell before, but she's definitely more comfortable now, more relaxed, more relieved. And you think that it's perhaps stress that has been alleviated. But as she gets closer to the birth, she begins to complain of cramps in her stomach. Terrible cramps.
Okay. Have other people checked on this, or?
She comes to you, okay, and she says that Joffron, if you remember, Joffron is her aunt, the younger sister of Sacrifice, but also the herbs woman and healer here. Joffron has asked that she ask you, because Joffron doesn't think she's able to do anything for the babe. She believes that there is unnatural bleeding occurring.
Okay.
Not external.
Right.
It's quite easy to see the external bleeding.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll give her a check.
Okay.
Check over.
I don't actually need a medicine check from you for this. You will swiftly discover that she does appear to be bleeding internally. But I will, and that she's got sort of dreadful cramps are being caused by this. But as you sort of put your hands on her, you don't feel the babe move at all. And it occurs to you to ask her when she last felt it move. to which she will tell you she can't remember. Now you may give me a medicine check.
28.
Sorry, I'm really sorry. I said
Damn.
Joffron, but I meant
Much.
Jonqui. Same woman, really.
It's a much better medicine check.
Yes. It is likely that the babe has not been alive for 6 weeks.
Don't say that.
Since the fall on the stairs.
Oh,
Jesus.
You know this, but at the moment, you haven't obviously said anything. It is up to you if you tell her or not. Either way, she will have to give birth to the babe.
No.
well. I mean, we've already stated that it's just a teleportation circle away, so she
Yeah.
wouldn't have to.
Now that's thinking of portals.
Oh, that is thinking with portals.
Let me teleport you back and remove the dead babe from your belly. Is that the logic? Probably wouldn't break it to her that way. She won't take that very well.
No,
of course
Better
not.
better words, Bard.
Yeah,
was
better
me
words,
that said it.
eloquence, Bard.
It was me that said it. Okay. Yeah.
Where's the
what
tax?
what do you say
Jesus.
to her upon this discovery? Do you say?
There's sort of this brief period of silence before I respawn. I'm sorry.
You're sorry? You can't solve the problem? You can't find the problem?
No, I'm aware of what the problem is, and that's why I'm sorry.
Does he live? Does he
Don't
live?
believe so.
She doesn't cry. She sits very still. She turns to Jonqui and says, "Send for my husband." And when Verity arrives, she looks to him and she says, "I have failed you. I failed in my duty as a wife. I'm told that the boy I carried will not live. I'm sorry, my lord." He looks almost confused. And then he does burst into tears and cry, and she sort of looks ashamed. He goes to her and he sort of goes to comfort her. He puts his arm around her and he's like, "It's okay. There'll be more time, more of a future. It's not your fault. You've done nothing wrong. We did everything we could. We'll have better healers next time. We'll keep Kai by our side." All of this. And she's just like, I failed. After a while, Jonqui sort of takes your arm and suggests that perhaps the two of you leave them.
Yeah.
Cracks open a cold one. Sorry, I couldn't
Pour
resist.
one out.
Wow.
Yeah. There was no way of you knowing this before she started bleeding. It's not
Right.
great. It's not a brilliant situation. But Verity seems to take it quite calmly. And after a while, he'll sort of join. Is it fair to say that you probably visit a tavern every now and again, Kai? Up there? Yep. So he'll join you and Galthak at the tavern alone. And he sort of sits down next to you and orders an ale. And I do like this mountain kingdom that I can just be a man amongst men as opposed to the prince all the time. I'm sorry, that's a strange way to start a conversation. And he sort of looks at you and takes a mouthful of his ale. And I don't understand women. What am I? Can I comfort her? Can I say anything? She sees it as a failed duty. It's not a failed duty. It's a sad tragedy. He sort of shakes his head. It was all for nothing. It was all for nothing. Will she bear a child again? You believe so?
Yes, she would still be capable of doing so. There's no concern about that.
Is it harsh of me that in some ways I don't see a problem? It's sad, don't get me wrong, and I was very excited for the birth. But sometimes children aren't born, you know? Sometimes there's a stillbirth. Sometimes there's a miscarriage. It happens, right?
Right.
It isn't the most gentle time or place to bring a child into anyway. With the attempts on her life, would he have made it to a year old anyway? Part of me thinks it's for the best. Does that make me cruel?
No, not cruel, just seeing things how they are. Whether it's good or bad, it's how the events transpired, and it's our purpose of moving forward with all our lives. Despite hardships, they're meant to be overcome.
Up they are.
Whether you choose to mourn or not, it's your decision. As long as you're able to take it in stride.
I am sad. I believe most things happen for a reason. I have to. Otherwise, all those people lost in the raids, my father's illness, my brother. He is talking about Regal, bear in mind he doesn't know Chivalry's dead. He's looking forward to that piece of news.
Oh.
Yeah. You know,
Oof.
you've got to see it as what was meant to happen, right? Otherwise, what's the point of it all? You know, if Shiv was still in line for the throne, if I was just the prince, part of me would want to stay here. I think I'd be a good husband to a queen of the Mountain Kingdom. Far better than I will be a king of Arvenia. Hell, we could run for the mountains, see whether we could seek out the Eldlings. Just the two of us, an adventure across the land. We probably wouldn't make it very far. She'd probably die protecting me, or something stupid like that. But hell, it'd be a life.
So, what you really want to do?
My heart of hearts, perhaps, yes. What I really want to do is take a sword to those raiders, fight them man to man, and come home and tell my wife of my victories, and have her ease my worries away. Little else to worry about. The life of a soldier. That's what I was meant for. Nothing more. Well, do we just pack it all up and turn around and go back? Great. That went well. We went up to the Mountain Kingdom and came back with nothing. Yay.
Well, there's no rush to return.
I don't think my father would agree with you, Kai. Though I do appreciate
Oh.
it.
Perhaps some more time will do you good here before returning.
That is true. I understand that prior to today, my wife has been hard at work in the libraries. I think she's uncovered a map that leads from here to a place up in the north somewhere. She believes that's the start of the path to the Elderlings.
Place in the north, you say?
Well, west and north and over the mountains and far away, and I don't know. Sometimes I think she's but a child dreaming of something impossible. And sometimes I think she is the only one who knows the answers, and that the otherlings are our only hope. She makes it all sound so real and so logical. But to me, the way I was raised, a soldier, that seems so fantastical, you know. Let's go find the mythical creatures that will save us all from the certain doom, you know. As well hunt the fairy godmother or something.
So, where's the harm in people finding hope, though, wherever they can?
Well, hope is all well and good, but it's got to result in something. You know, we can't all die hoping, and that's the end of that.
That's very true.
As the king in waiting, it's, you know, especially given my father's condition, it's my job to find a solution. And do I turn to the people and say, well, it's okay, we're going to go off and chase Pexies, and they'll come and save us all?
When you say it like that,
Or do I say to
makes
them,
a lot
we'll
of
build
sense.
more ships,
Keep realism.
find more men? We need more information. Until we've got something to go on, some genuine information. We can't go gallivanting off into the mountains. It was the king himself that went the first time, King Wisdom.
No.
Perhaps they would only answer to the king. I wonder if they'd answer to a king in waiting. You must return. Without me. You must return. Must keep them at bay. Keep the red ships at bay. Keep my father alive. Look after that young boy, he deserves better. You must return. Your duties are important, very important. When you go in the morning, you have a way of getting back swiftly, correct?
Correct.
I would appreciate it. I think it's time this prince did something. He sort of shrugs his shoulders back, and you do see that in the months he hasn't been, or the weeks he hasn't been doing the vision thing, so to speak. His health has improved drastically. You know, he's got colour back in his hair, his shoulders are broad again, he's not thin and gaunt, he's got colour in his face. Katrika might even say he's beginning to look handsome again. As you sort of sit there, and you see him lean down to the sword at his hip, and pull it slightly out and look at it. Give me an insight check, Kai.
Do. 17.
If I lean to the right, my face disappears. It's amazing, isn't it? I just became a white sheet. Anyway,
Nice.
he looks like a man who's made a decision. Well, he seems content with it. With that, he sort of... In the morning then, Kai, yes? You'll return.
Yes,
Come and see me before you leave. I'll have a letter for you.
of course.
It has occurred to me that we heard many rumours as we passed through Turlake. The inland king, the inland lord, the inland prince. Prince of Dunholm. The king that cares. I'm sure you heard them as well as I did. My brother, who suspected once that he didn't die. I always showed him love, but he was an insipid snake. It wouldn't surprise me if he does still live, if he cultivates the land against him. He always wanted to be the king. He always wanted more. He was always the younger boy, you know, and he felt that, you know, his horse was smaller than ours, his sword was smaller than ours, and that such thing. It was pure jealousy instilled in him by his mother, but no matter what my father gave him, it was never enough. He always wanted more. She used to tell him that because his bloodlines were better, he was regal. He was the most royal of boys. He should be the king. As I think back on the days leading up to his death, I think he might have believed it. Keep your eyes open in all directions. But if, for some reason, he was to return and rise to the throne, you must follow him and see that his people are well looked after. That's an order. You hear me? He looks to both you and to Galfak, sort of very solidly. Basically saying to you, if somehow Regal comes to the throne, you must follow him. Difficult order to follow, that one. Guy's an asshole.
Technically not one of your people either, so...
That is true. Neither is Galfak really, so... well, Galfak, yeah, he is. He's Albanian. But anyway, he sort of nods to you, and with that, he sort of stares down the table and appears to have just completely forgotten that you exist. And we're going to leave you there and return back to those girls, and then we'll come back to you. Ladies, you found a man in the bush with leaves stuck to his eyebrows, casting magics.
Yeah.
Nasty, mean magics. Well, he was scrying in a pail of water.
Yeah, can we see what he's trying to scry, or...
Yeah,
What's he up to in there?
as you look down, you can't obviously see what he's scrying, but he definitely, as soon as he sees you, he sort of like panics, and he attempts to start running. So he sort of jumps out the bush and...
Yeah,
Oh, no,
that's a
he
whole
doesn't.
person.
I'll do it. Yeah, he goes to Misty Step and like freezes midair
Oh, Misty Step.
and just
Fancy.
stops. Well, he can cast scrying. It's a lot fancier than Misty Step.
That's more. It's more flashy.
He did appear to have a scroll.
That's what's impressing, Winona.
He did appear to have a scroll.
Oh.
Not of Misty Step.
Mm.
Corina, you have a paralyzed man midair. What are you doing with him?
Tie him.
Oh. Was that an
Done.
order to Winona, or is that what you're
That
doing?
it was.
I already did it.
Okay. Winona ties him up, perhaps has a dagger at hand. Yeah, and you sort of let him unfreeze after a minute, right? It only lasts a minute, whole person, is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
He sort of falls down and struggles. Oh, damn it.
Hello, welcome to the party.
Il Carmen is Scorrigier.
Excuse me?
You're not dressed appropriately.
And he comes out with another 3 or 4 lines that you don't necessarily understand, first of all.
Yeah. I cast comprehend languages.
Yeah. He's speaking in the Asgrandian tongue.
Ooh.
He tells you
What
he
are you guys
doesn't
up to?
understand. You may give me an insight check. Now that you can speak to him.
16.
Bullshit. He definitely understands.
Yeah.
Every word of it.
Mm-hmm.
His Asgrandian is terrible.
Oh. He's trying to pull a fast one on us.
Yeah, he is.
You know, we've been to Asgrandia.
Oh,
Their accents were a
shit.
lot better than yours.
Yeah, well, alright.
So,
I'm here on behalf... And then he realizes who you are and he just stops mid-sentence and he's like... Alright, fine. I'm paid well for my information. What of it?
keep talking.
What of it? What do you want to know?
Who? What, where, when, why?
Lady Patience?
Just all of them.
Any information on any suspicions she might have. That sort of thing, you know?
Ooh. What
Well, you
suspicions
can't
might
deny
she
that-
have?
You can't deny that the prince died in somewhat unforeseen circumstances.
Anything about that you know that you'd like to divulge?
No, it's the person who sent me wants to know, you know, if Patience has any suspicions.
Insight check.
He appears to
Yeah.
be telling the truth. You don't need to insight check.
Yep.
Your passive insight will tell you that. He definitely looks like he's spilling half the beans.
And who hired you?
Nope, not worth my life. Thank you very much. Won't tell you that.
Not worth your life.
Nope. It's a death far more horrible than you would be able to think up. Not going to happen.
Hmm.
For what it's worth, I didn't find anything of much interest anyway. She suspects foul play, but she keeps herself to herself and she's astute. More astute than she looks. Besides, I know who you are. You won't torture me to death.
You don't know me.
Heroes of the realm. Not the torture kind. You can always see it in their eyes. Nope.
I could be if I wanted to.
I'll take a clean death if I have to, but I'm not taking that death.
Alright. Well, okay. Why does your proprietor care about patients' suspicions unless they were the one who did it?
I think they're curious more than anything. You know, I've had plenty of spying jobs in plenty of different places for information. You know, whether they want to send them a congratulatory letter for ridding the world of the prince, or whether they want to send their commiserations or hunt them down and kill them. I haven't got a clue. I do my job, I'm paid well, and I leave. If it's of interest, I'm to put any information I find in a letter and send it to a particular address, and he'll write that down for you. It is an inn, and it is in Turlake.
You don't say.
And how much were you paid to spy on a widow?
1,000 gold pieces.
Ugh.
200 in advance.
How about I give you 400 in advance to go spy on whoever's hired you?
Nope, not worth my death.
All right.
I mean, you failed in your mission. You'll be killed anyway.
No.
We won't tell
I'm
that
useful.
you told. I don't even know who you are.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, who is this guy? Does he look familiar?
Well, no one looks familiar with grass in their hair and leaves on their eyebrows, but as he sort of dishevels himself, no, he isn't familiar. He does appear to be somewhat of Iskandian descent. He definitely has darker skin than you would expect. But it's almost like his features have been sculpted to be nondescript. He's very plain. Even if you stood next to 5 other men, you really couldn't pick him out of a crowd. Plain brown hair, fairly short cropped at the front and sort of in a warrior's tail at the back. Apart from the slight darkening of his skin, he just looks like your average man from an inland duchy. You would place him as an inland duchy man, or perhaps an Iskandian. He's definitely not from the coast. He doesn't have the dark hair of Bug.
I'm gonna message Karina. I don't care if this guy sees me doing it.
He doesn't care either.
Okay, cool. Do you think Regal has something to do with this?
I have very little doubt.
Thought so. Well, what do we do with this guy now? I'm just saying this part out loud.
I mean, I'm sure this place has a dungeon.
Oh,
Seems like the
you're
kind
right.
of place that would have a
Actually, it
dungeon.
doesn't. He looks at you. No dungeon. They removed it about 250 years ago.
Ugh.
You could always
There's like-
escort me all the way back to Valaris. That'd be an interesting
There's like
trip for you,
500
wouldn't it?
suites. We can just lock him in one of those.
That would be comfortable and very nice. Alternatively, I could give you a lot of information not on who hired me, and you could let me go.
Well,
Just a thought.
what is your information? If
Oh, I
it's
have
good
lots of
enough,
interesting information. What sort of thing?
then
are
we
you
can
interested in?
talk.
Princes, princesses, kings.
Just kind of who's trying to kill them.
Ah, well, that's interesting. Well, I'd start with the ones that aren't as dead as you think they are.
Go ahead, tell us about Regal.
Ah, you know. Well, that was my diamond.
No, I wanted him to say it.
That was my piece of information I was hoping to trade my life for. Yes, Regal is still alive, but I can tell you it's not him that hired me. Yes, many
Oh,
others,
you don't
many players
say.
in the game. Yes, he's currently gallivanting about, cultivating nobles in the inland duchies or something. I don't know. He keeps himself quiet.
Sure sounds that way.
So if that was your most useful piece of information, what's your
Yeah.
second most?
Shit. His
Yeah.
brother's a powerful wizard.
Which brother?
Regal's brother. Bastard
Oh.
brother, you don't know of him? Galen?
You mean not the princes?
No, Galen.
we knew that already too.
Oh, you are well informed, aren't you?
Yeah, I killed his snake. I wish I still had that carcass, but I think I threw it away by now.
There's a man that goes by the name of Hayes that casts regular
Okay.
spells on the king.
Oh, well,
Where's
this
my
sounds
patch?
new.
He's a changeling.
What?
Why would a changeling make himself identifiable by wearing an eye patch?
Exactly.
It's as good as mine. I think it's got something to do with detection.
I think you're a changeling.
No, I wish I was. That'd make life so much easier. I wouldn't have to wear all this grass. I could just blend it in.
Winona was fully bluffing.
He seems very frustrated at the fact he's not a changeling. He goes by the name of
Alright.
Hayes for the most part.
Hayes.
I don't know whose employ he's in.
Well,
Do you have any way of finding this man?
Place a better guard on the king? Just a thought.
How often does he cast this spell?
Well, I don't know. That's often enough.
Oh.
He befuddles the king, I've heard.
Ah, yes. Does seem
I've only heard it,
befuddled
haven't seen
lately.
it myself. I'm not an expert in that kind of magic. Well, I've got to be going. It's been lovely talking to you. Have a good afternoon. He sort of nods at you and stands up. And
Wait.
goes even
He is
tied
still,
up.
he is
No,
still tied up.
no. As
He's
he stands
super
up,
tied
the ropes sort of fall down, and you realise he's done something clever.
What's that?
He turns to you and looks you in the eye, Karina, as if daring you to cast Hold Person. You've got enough. Come on, just professionals in the business. Let's agree to go our separate ways.
Get out.
See,
Yeah.
and he sprints and then misty steps and he's off like boom.
This guy's useless.
Just gone. Cowering across the path from you is shit. Fuck. What did I name her?
Laura.
Delia.
No.
Delia.
No.
Oh
I think
yeah, you were supposed to be
Wrong
the
Laura
girl.
drank some
this.
poison and nearly died.
Wrong kitchen girl.
Yes. Delia. And she sort of awkwardly holds up some jasmine for you, and we're not here for this, are we?
Oh. I mean,
I
you've
think
done
some tea
amazing.
would be lovely.
Okay.
We knew
I
you
didn't
were the
hear
one for the
anything.
job.
I didn't hear anything at all. Honest.
Insight check.
She sort of no. You know she's saying like she's not saying I didn't hear anything. She's saying I won't say anything. But she's like she's
She
pretending like
did
I
it.
didn't. Ears closed. Yeah, sure. Give me an insight check. Why not?
It's a 5.
Lying through.
Oh. She heard everything. She's gonna tell everyone right now.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So as you return to Withywood's, you do note that the Lady Patience has sort of appears to be a little bit better dressed. She has her hair done, and she seems to be saying thank yous and goodbyes to many of the people in the hall that she's in. It seems that her personal mourning is coming to an end, and she's going to deal with the richer folk. She sees you coming, and do you have that jasmine? I could really use a cup of tea before seeing those the ostentatious folk.
Yes, we made
Oh,
quite a
yes.
cup of tea.
Lovely. Come with me. We'll take you to the kitchen. And she leads you down to the kitchen, and she lets you in a door that looks like it's it didn't look like a door. It's like part of the framework of the corridor. And she moves a picture and then swings the door in. She enters by basically a secret entrance, and she's like, "Shh, don't tell anyone. This is my secret.
This is
I love
fun.
the smell of bread in the morning. I always come down on my own and sneak in when the chef's not looking."
How long have they lived here again? She has found all the secrets.
Patience grew up here.
Oh,
Sorry,
I
thought
didn't know
say
that.
Patience
That-
grew up here. She is a lesser noble. She grew up in Withywood's, so she knows the place very, very well.
Okay.
It's part of the reason why
Word.
Chivalry and Patience were sent back there.
Okay. Well, that's
Sort of,
fantastic.
she puts a pot on the stove, and the cook, immediately comes over and is like, "Hey, I'll do that. And she's like, "No problem. It's okay, Chivalry. I've got it." And she the cook sort of shakes her head as if to say, "Well, okay, whatever you want, mistress." And she pours out a tea for the three of you, and
As she's
Jasmine,
been
all
doing
you
that, I
found?
cast Detect Magic again.
Ooh.
There are a few different things
Well,
magical in
I
here,
was-
but you quickly ascertain that most of them are kitchen-based implements. A self-heating ring on the hob. The teapot she's serving you in keeps its heat itself. She's got a few other strange
Wow.
objects that look a little magical.
As long as there's
Very
no
cool.
scrying eye,
No.
I'll just keep that up for the next couple minutes.
Okay. Did you find anything more than Jasmine?
You had
Strange
an uninvited
bushman.
guest.
I hate it when that happens. Yes, I'm supposing they have.
Strange bushman.
You've seen them on their way. I'm sure they were lost. Yes.
Very lost.
Good. Well, let's hope they get further lost. Preferably really far from here. Thank you. You've done a lady a service. Enjoy the tea. I should see to the noble folk. We'll walk in the gardens later.
Of course.
Of course.
I look forward to it. We'll fast forward. You can join the noble folk if you want. You can chill with the common folk as they party, or you can go wandering the gardens, or you can go to your suites in the violet rooms. Totally up to you.
I might be. Oh, you go first.
I was gonna say I think I might join the nobles just to watch, just to keep an eye in case
That's
something
exactly
bad
what I was gonna
happens.
say.
Yeah,
But
okay.
I was gonna be a creep about it and just be up in the ceiling.
Okay. Winona keeps it silent here. Karina carouses with the nobles, and probably fits in fairly well. To be honest, you have been brought up in that lifestyle. Well, that song ended quickly, didn't it? Where did it go? There's a lot of posturing, a lot of rich people trying to look fancy. There's a lot of barbed comments about people's outfits, their jewelry, their, who's sleeping with who, all that sort of stuff. It's quite sad.
The worst.
Really. There's nothing of interest at all. Well, almost nothing of interest. You do hear that a silver mine has been found in the mountains. And one man remarks that it's actually a somewhat useful reason to guard that useless pile of rock. The useless pile of rock he is referring to is the entire Duchy of Skeld.
Okay.
Doesn't seem to care much about it.
Didn't think much of Skeld.
But it's very uninteresting, and at the end of that afternoon, Patience will take you for a walk out in the gardens. Straight away, she sort of, as you gets out there, turns to you and says, he wasn't riding his normal horse. The horse was hobbled. I don't believe it was by natural means, but I am assured that your friend's dragon has had a chat with it or something.
Oh,
Is that so?
definitely. He's
Yeah.
on that.
Well, he came and... Well, this. And you see, like, sort of scrappily, Luca's writing. It starts off
boy.
with, I'm sorry he ate the horse.
Oh no! I was worried this would happen.
He didn't eat Chivalry's actual horse. He ate the horse that threw Chivalry.
Yeah. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah. But he did garner the information that the horse felt a bit queasy and weird all day.
Oh my goodness.
Must be something he ate, and it's in terrible handwriting. Lucas' handwriting's never great. And yeah, sorry he ate the horse. Ruddy's fine though, apparently, which was the first horse, you would assume.
Yeah.
The stable master reckons that the horse had something tied around his hoof, which made him lame. So Chivalry took a different horse. That's the second horse that threw him.
Oh, something was like Ruddy was tampered with, so
Yeah.
he would take a different horse.
His own horse was tampered with, so he'd take a different horse. The different horse threw him. It seems to have been bewitched in some way on the day. She says, that's how much I found out, but frankly, our stables aren't very well guarded. Come, I'll take you. She leads you out, and you literally see that there are open stables. The horses have ropes to tie them in, but other than that, like, anyone could come and go. They're in the gardens outside with trees growing either side of them. Like, it's an assassin's dream.
My goodness, this is like a Hitman level. The creativity in this assassination. Okay.
I've heard that others used to disappear from the nobility in similar ways. Not thrown by horses, but mysterious manners, well executed. Back in the days that the Queen Desire reigned.
Huh. Interesting you mentioned that.
Well,
You've heard these rumblings about Inland King?
oh, a lady hears
That
many
one.
things. It's crude to speak of them, isn't it?
You're
Not
right.
when they are very likely true.
Very likely where that family's concerned. Poison spawned a lot of them.
Mm.
Should have been cut from the root as a babe, that child. He was evil from the day he was born, I'm telling you. Chivalry hated him. Kept it to himself,
Really?
though.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't think he ever gave us that impression, right?
Sorry, I've just said it the wrong way round. When I said chivalry hated him, he hated chivalry.
Hey.
That's that way round, sorry.
That's
all
not
right.
surprising.
Okay,
No, not surprising.
that checks out.
You get the same story that Verity told about the kid who always wanted more, the bigger horse, the whatever, you know, right? Yeah.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
You can always tell how evil a man is by the way they treat children.
Hmm.
Regal, when he walked through the Great Hall, used to kick children's toys aside. Evil man.
What a bully.
Yeah, he was that. Petty as well.
Petty. He seems it.
So,
Well,
what do you do next?
what do
Are you
we do
speaking with
next?
the horse? She's trying to.
The horse is there. I was adding some sound effects. There's a horse
Right,
just
I
in the
see.
background.
I see. No. Patience asks you what you're going to do next.
Do you feel safe yourself, Lady Patience? Do you think they would have reason to target you as
I've
well?
got Lacey. I'll be all right.
Oh,
Lacey
okay.
is her maid.
What's that?
You know of Lacey? She's a rather gossipful maid who really likes knitting. It's a strange thing to say. It's like saying I have a fat ginger cat. It's not going to protect you. But she seems very certain. She said, I'll be just fine, thank you. I am thinking of returning to court, though. I know he's not mine, but I'd like to know the boy, you know. And she looks directly at Karina.
Insight check? That's a big change.
Ooh, it's true. Whoa.
Wait, why did I make an insight check? You want to
I
make
don't
an insight
know.
check.
No, I want to make an insight
I was
check.
like, did you just roll a deception check in front of us or what?
I'm like, you were like, make an insight check. I was like, all right, I'm on it.
The tables have turned.
Wow.
She got a 15.
Elora's gone rogue.
Jesus, sorry, Elora. Would you like to make an insight check? Sure, we might get a...
I got a 15.
Did you?
Oh my
That's the same as her.
goodness.
Yeah, you can see she sort of understands your hesitance, and she's like, it's hard, you know, to admit that it was my fault that Chivalry and I never had a child. But it must have been, right? I saw a healer or two on the side, but they couldn't confirm anything.
There's no fault when it comes to these issues.
I didn't say there was.
You did, actually. You said it was your fault, and it's
Well,
not.
okay, but a turn of phrase. It was due to my body. If you like, right? Okay, you prefer that? It, before my husband passed, it was difficult not to see the boy as a slap in the face, you know? A reminder of what I hadn't done. What we couldn't have. What we didn't have. But with Shiv's passing, it's what's left of him, isn't it? It's what's left.
I think some time would be appropriate.
Well, I wasn't thinking of turning up tomorrow, dear. I was thinking, over the next year or so, I might come back to court, slowly introduce myself to him. Perhaps he could page me for a year or so. Something like that. You know, just a little bit. I can tell the boy tales of his father, unlike most people can. Unless the Prince Verity is going to spend some time with the boy on his lap, which is quite unlikely, given the nefarious things they've probably put that boy to. I can see he's taught things that are for the joy of it, like playing the sea pipes or drawing, you know, that sort of thing. And tell him tales of his father, you know, good things. In time, not immediately.
In time, and I would ask that you let him come to you.
Well, quite. Oh, don't worry, I know my way around boys. They'll I'm sure he'll be glad of it.
I do have a question.
Of course. I'm sure you do.
What will happen with Chivalry's horse?
Righty. I'll send him to Burke. He was my first love, you know. Burek, not the horse.
Insight check.
Yeah, she'll tell you that as a teen, her and Burek fell in love.
Can't believe this, so scandalous.
He once told me that a horse can't bear two saddles. He couldn't serve his lord and be in love with a woman. Stupid, really. Many men may achieve it, but well, he was always a stubborn man. A couple of years later, I was courted and fell in love with Chivalry, and it wasn't until we were well into our courtship that I discovered that the man that Burek followed was the prince.
My goodness. Drama.
Burek loves his horses far more than he loved any woman. I'll send the horse to Burek. He'll be glad of it.
It's going to be my suggestion. Of course, you thought of it first.
Oh, she
That was
thought of it
going to
first.
be my suggestion.
Okay.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, he seems to love that horse.
He loved the man that loved the horse.
That too. But he raised the horse from a colt, so you weren't far off. We'd make good friends, you and I. She looks to Karina. And then she looks to Winona and you too.
It's alright.
You can lack a little in the subtlety sometimes.
I'm subtle in different ways.
Yes, the next time you want to hang from my ceiling, could you warn me first? Which was quite a surprise when my...
Don't worry about that.
We're having a -1 wisdom. I mean, she's really good
She
at that.
didn't know.
I-
She said, I was very surprised when my man let me know.
Oh.
Anyway, I'm sure you have important duties. You'll take the Violet Suite this evening, I'm sure. I believe it's getting a little chilly. I'd like to go inside.
Of course.
With that, she'll lead you in, and we'll return to Kai and Galthak for some surprise news first thing in the morning.
Oh?
That morning, Verity asks you to call on him prior to your leaving, if you remember.
Right.
Sure you do so.
Yes.
Oh yeah, of course.
He gives you a sealed scroll and a second copy of it. It says, one for my father and one for my mother. And this one, and he sort of hurts out, and it's not sealed as anywhere near as elegantly. This is for yourself and the others, Luca and Karina and Winona. If you would open it when you get back, I'd appreciate it.
Okay.
It's going to be a while till we see each other again, I'm sure, but I've always had great respect for you. You've always gone above and beyond in service of the crown, and he sort of looks to Kai, and not even a crown that you are beholden to. Don't think I don't appreciate you all. Keep safe. And thank you.
Much the same to you as well. Be careful, yeah?
Well, perhaps. Perhaps. Oh, there is this as well. And he sort of takes a ring off his finger and gives it to Kai, and you should give that to my father. He'll understand. Thank you.
Of course.
And you just twirl on the spot and disappear, is that what you do?
Well, sure. As I do it.
Well, just before you do, I believe my lady wife would like a word or two with you.
Poof, they're gone.
Whoops.
It's an instant cast. I'm sorry. You should have spoken faster.
Just down the corridor is Katrikan in her room, and she's
Okay.
asked to see you.
Yeah, I'll go speak with her.
Okay. she sort of... Kai, Calthac, come in. Go on, there's never been need for secrecy in the halls of my father before. I understand you're to travel this morning.
Yes, we're going to be returning today.
Yes, we are. I'm to go with you.
You are.
Indeed. I understand the adverse effects are no longer important. In this, my son is sacrifice. He'll be remembered. I'm ready when you are.
If you're certain, then we can head out right away.
She takes a huge bag and puts it on her shoulder. Grabs what looks to be a case or scroll case of some sort. And a sword. Puts it at her hip and nods.
Alright.
Ready.
You ready, Calthac?
As ready as I could ever be.
Alright. And then,
Onwards, shall we?
using the Voyager staff, I will cast teleport to return us to the castle.
To the castle. Okay. It is assumed that you've gone over the 2 weeks past Karina and Winona going up to Lady Patience isn't back. Do you read the scroll that was addressed to you before you take the others to the king and the queen?
Yes.
Great. It reads as follows. It is about time that this prince made a name for himself. I've set out like my great-great-great-grandfather. Or one of those. I hope to return with the elderlings at my side. My queen will rule in my stead should my father fall. Please do your best to keep her alive, safe, and in charge. Many thanks for all that you've done. He signs it King Verity. Kind of posh. Somewhat assumption as well. There is a second small scroll inside, which is addressed to Karina.
Okay.
Having read this, will you go straight to the castle, or will you go and get the girls? And Luca.
Yes.
Luca and the girls are having a spa day.
As you enter Karina's house, they are having a fabulous feast. Luca is surrounded by meat.
Yes.
And cheese. And Kepit is got gravy over his face as he appears to be stuffing himself, and Luca's making him laugh.
Oh no.
As you go in, the girl sort of, hello. Obviously, you don't know that Chivalry's died, so that'll be a cool catch-up. But for the sake of expediency, I will first let you know what is on the scroll to Karina, and then we'll let the role play out. It says, inside this scroll is my last act as King-in-Waiting Verity. Should I not return, my father fall, and, God forbid, my wife also, I hereby announce that Kepit Farseer, and he actually names him Kepit Fitzchivalry Farseer, which means Bastard of Chivalry Farseer, is the heir to my throne. Please do not let the boy know unless you must. Assuming that Kai read you what was on the first scroll before you read the second, just saying.
Okay.
God, what happened?
Welcome, come get some food. How was the Mountain Kingdom?
It was quite nice. Well, aside from...
I'm surprised you're back.
Yes, well... certain things transpired. One major thing happened even before we had left. Unfortunately, the child was never born.
terrible.
Okay.
That first incident on the stairs had done him in, and it was only recently that it was discovered that
Where are Verity and Katrikan?
Katrikan has returned to the castle. As for Verity, and this is where I'll hand over the scroll.
Yeah, and you will read that he has departed to track down the Elderlings, the Solas. It might be worth mentioning that you would know that, Kai, that behind... So the group that travelled with him, obviously on the boat, were hand-picked soldiers by Galthak and by Astrid Brightglance, including Hod, who is the weapons trainer for the entire army, and some other very capable people. You might, at this point, realise that Verity had planned to carry on into the Mountain Kingdom before he left Valaris.
Ah,
Devious little shitfuck.
scheming. Well, this is a lot to take in.
It's time for playtime in the other room. Mrs. Higgs, would you mind? And I'll prestidigitation Kepit.
He sort of turns to Luca, are you coming? I want to show you my dragon. I've got a dragon, you know. Luca sort of looks at me like, I've got a dragon too. Yeah, I'll catch up. Go on without me. And Luca sends him off, and we'll go and talk to him later.
Okay. So he's gone to search for the Elderling. And she's here. We also have news. Chivalry was killed.
Oh.
A
That's like,
quote-unquote accident with a horse.
We found it to be tampered with, and someone spying on Lady Patience from her garden as well. A lot of moves are being made right now. It seems like we are always one step behind them.
The man did confirm Regal's status of not being dead. Which we suspected, but now is pretty certain.
Man. Should we tell Verity, or do you think that might distract from his mission?
I'm gonna cast detect
Pretty
magic.
sure he's...
No magic present unless you brought it here.
There's also definitely remember the man with red hair who was seen around the palace? I
Yes.
think he might be the same person that we were told about, a changeling who has been continually casting spells on the king.
Mm-hmm. Ooh.
You can pencil in the eye patch in your brain.
That's right.
Didn't have that in the art. I think that might be a good place to just stop.
Yeah.
We'll bring Luca in for the next step.
Could we stop after the next sentence where I posture about the idea of kidnapping the king?
Ooh, Karina! You know how to finish a session.
And on that bombshell, that's where we'll end. You can discuss that in our week off. So just to make a couple of confirmations, this is the point at which you were meant to get to during the play-by-post, but I thought actually that some of this stuff was worth role-playing. So I hope you guys felt the same way, and that we haven't just wasted 2 hours.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, obviously when you get back, there will still be plenty going on in the court, and now you've got to navigate Katrikan through the mud and muck and keep her alive, or keep her on the
Yikes.
throne, or whatever, even though there's a king on the throne currently, but Verity didn't seem too bothered about that. But in the meantime, I will come to the timeless tradition of MVPs, and I will start with Jamal.
Okay. So I have 2, so I
Spit 'em
will
both
take
out.
one now, and
No, I'll take both.
if it hasn't
I'll
been
take
mentioned
both.
at the end.
Spit them out.
Okay. First one, it's got to be the scrying man. Leaf eyebrows and the scrying in fucking bucket.
Yep.
Utterly ridiculous, and that
in-
entire scene. That
In
was
the book,
great.
he covers himself in leaves and has a little leaf thing over his face, and he falls
Aw.
from outside the window onto the floor.
Oh,
As he was
God.
looking through the window. But obviously, you know, we have magic in D&D, so we should use it.
Yeah.
Second one.
He was my first love, you know, not the horse. Inside check.
I knew that was coming. Just thought I should mention it. Yeah, Jay.
Winona creeping on the ceiling during watching all the nobles. Yeah, you gotta love it.
Yeah. And how
Yeah.
calmly Patience took it the next time you're hanging on my ceiling.
It's just what I do.
All right, ceiling girl, your MVP. Okay.
My MVP was the conversation between Verity, Kai, and Galthak. That was like very nice hearing I guess how all this stuff is his mindset, and also seeing him like get determined to take action and go get the elderlings. That is a thread that I've been wanting to follow for a while, so I'm glad that he is going to do it.
Okay. And Laura.
I was gonna give another one for Verity going off with the Elderlings on a real mission.
Yeah.
And I really liked the conversation with Kepit. I mean, it was a sad conversation telling him that his dad had passed. but
Yes.
I liked that moment.
Yeah, that was definitely my MVP, was that conversation. I think that, full disclosure, I lost my dad when I was 2 years old. I never really knew him, so a lot of what you said really resonated with me, and that, like, it's a lot of the things that, you know, there are a lot of things you can feel, and they're all okay, and, like, it's okay to feel nothing, and you might feel something later on, or you might not. Like, I just thought you were so genuine, like, not only as Karina, but also just as a human. It was just a really good sort of conversation to have. I do love it when D&D touches on the real feels. I also absolutely loved Kai's handling of the stillbirth. I think that was, you know, obviously these are some real tough issues that the book touches on, and yeah, I didn't want to do the whole thing where she gives birth to the child and lays it to dirt. I just thought that was a bit too much. So I thought this was a nice way of scaling it back, and I think you handled it really well, Jay. So kudos to you. Yeah, I think you guys did a great job.
Yay.
The one time he's not here to ask. You can level up.
Oh my god.
Yay!
He's not
I
even
should
here.
hope so if we progress through a whole year.
I know, right? Yeah,
We
just
were
to
training.
make you aware that obviously there are some things to do and some things to roleplay with, but we are going to have another time skippy text-based thing
Oh boy.
post next week. So we are going to fast forward through that moment, because otherwise, you know, there's just so much time to navigate. So we are going to do another play by post. But I think, are you guys interested in picking up where we left off to roleplay from there, and then time skipping, or do you want to just continue onwards?
Depends on how the kidnapping plot goes.
I know. I was about to say, it depends on how much there is to do right now.
I will say that in a lot of situations right now, your hands are going to be tied by the plot. I don't want to be the railroadiest person ever, but it is a book. It has been written by someone else. I can't do a huge amount about that bit.
I do want to hear Karina's plan.
Yeah, I do want to know that.
Yeah.
But I think, you know, as players, well, I think what we'll do actually is, well, this is, you'll level up. If you guys would like to say goodbye, I think we'll have this discussion off camera. But I think, you know, as players, well, this is, you'll level up. If you guys would like to say goodbye, I think we'll have this discussion off camera. But I think, you know, as players, well, I think what we'll do actually is, well, this is, you'll level up. If you guys would like to say goodbye, I think we'll have this discussion off camera.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
We shall see you soon.